3, 2, 1, take off.
And we are live. It is Tuesday night, Stoppage Time FC. Remember, Stoppage Time FC is the Facebook group. Stoppage Time FC is the Twitter. And of course, it's all under the Scen family. No passport needed for me because Arsenal is terrible. But on the bright side, positive vibes only. Joe, as you can see by his caption, or you might need to do the enlarge the screen. Porto, here we come. Man City, champions of England for the third time in 4, and now headed to the Champions League. But Joe, there's a lot going on in Europe this coming weekend. We've got La Liga, we've got Liga 1, we've got the last 2 Champions League places in the Prem to be decided. So where do you want to start?
Let's start with today, with what was going on in the Premier League, because we had matches today that kind of had an impact a little bit on seeding. We had some excitement too. Our boy Zach is not here tonight. He's taking some quality time with the family because he was on vacation playing some golf this weekend, so he's taking some time to be with his lovely ladies. But Chelsea and Leicester had a pretty big match today. Had a little fireworks at the end. I wasn't able to watch.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you were watching, but I saw you and Zach were coming a little back.
Got a little feisty at the end. Got a little feisty.
And that is a little bit of carryover from this past weekend, because they had just matched up in the FA Cup final where Leicester was able to pull out the win, close one too. And there's some drama in that one, if I'm not mistaken, with potential penalty calls and things like that. So we got a little bad blood brewing between Leicester City and Chelsea right now.
Yeah, Chelsea and Leicester. Leicester did win the FA Cup 1-0. Great goal by Yuri Tillemans. Chelsea feels a little bit cheated. There was a VAR decision that went against them for what would have been the tying goal in the dying seconds. And they got back at it today. Both of those two teams are competing for those final 2 European places. Chelsea had control of that match for most of it. A little bit of, not going to say fisticuffs, it wasn't a fight, but it got some pushing and shoving and some talking at the end. But that's what rivalries are made of. Like, that's what makes rivalries, is that it can't be all nice and nice. And they are competing for trophies, and you're competing for Champions League spots. So I like it. Bring back the rivalries.
We were just talking about how City and Chelsea budding rivalry there because of the competing for trophies and finals, and Leicester and Chelsea are sitting there doing the same thing the past 2 games. It's crazy that they had that final, and then both are fighting for a Champions League spot and matched up right after that. So it's perfect storm for bringing in a little bit of testosterone amongst the teams. Zach had sent me a picture too from that FA Cup final where that Tielemans goal looked like could have made a very good argument that he was offside before or during that build up for that particular goal. So there was a lot of Chelsea players and coaches and staff probably feel a little hard done in on some calls not going their way for those matchups. So those tough decisions definitely add in to the old rivalries between the squads. So right now, as it sits in the Premier League, Man City and Manchester United have qualified for the Champions League next year. They have secured spots 1 and 2 in the league. So right now, we have Chelsea sitting at 3 on 67 points. They've played the same amount as Leicester, they both played 37 games. Leicester's sitting at 66 in that 4th spot. And Liverpool is in the 5th spot right now, sitting on 63 points, but they have a game tomorrow against Burnley, I believe. And if they win that one, they will jump Leicester into the 4th spot
Yeah.
They'll be on the same point total, but their goal differential will be a little bit better. So as of if tomorrow, if Liverpool handles business against a team that they should beat, we do air quotes on that one because we know how soccer works sometimes. If they win, then we have all three teams on the final day. Sunday is the final match day for the Premier League, and all of these teams will be playing at the same time. I think kickoff is 11 Eastern time, our time. So all of the three teams will be playing at the same time, not knowing what the other ones are doing. You'll know that they're going to have some backroom staff monitoring what's going on in those other games and passing the word along to Klopp and Brendan Rodgers and Thomas Tuchel as well. So there's going to be a lot of fireworks here on Sunday if Liverpool wins. If Liverpool doesn't win, then there's a little bit less dramatic, but it's still stuff to be determined there. If they don't win, so we shall see.
Yeah, it's I am, when your team's not in, like me, when your team like Joe has already clinched the title with much, much bigger fish to fry, you root for the story. So I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I'm rooting for them to beat Burnley because it makes the story on Sunday. 3 teams separated by 1 point for 2 spots is all the drama you need on match day, on 38th match day of the season. So, I am rooting for Liverpool just for tomorrow, purely for
the fun. Yeah, and it was for them to even be in this position, they were sitting on a draw and wouldn't even be in this position right now where a win tomorrow allows them in if it wasn't for their goalkeeper getting a header in and putting in a winner recently. So that does not happen very often for our friends who don't follow soccer as closely as we do. It was like 88th, 89th minute, and Alisson Becker, they brought the goalie up because that's there's no point in that pretty much the final kick of the game to have your keeper not involved in the corner kick.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about Becker's story this year, so I am by no means a Liverpool supporter, but I thought it was a pretty touching moment when he scores the go-ahead goal to keep Liverpool's Champions League hopes alive, knowing that not too long ago he lost his father, and his father was a huge impact on his soccer life. So that was a really nice moment, and the human side of me definitely took over, even though I am not a fan of Liverpool at all. But that was a really nice moment, and a unique one too, because you don't see keepers scoring goals hardly ever. So
the keeper scoring is, for our American folks, this is the kicker in American football school.
Yeah.
This is the punter in American football school. Like, it is super infrequent. And for him, as Joe talked about, with all the personal things going on, Liverpool has had such a rocky season, to say the least. And now the least likely person on the field scored the game winner to keep your season alive. And now if they get a win against Burnley tomorrow, it becomes very interesting on Sunday. And it will also, it's tough for Leicester. Leicester has been in this spot 2 seasons in a row where they have had a comfortable hold on a Champions League spot with less than a month to go, and potentially have blown it 2 years in a row. So for all that feel good about them winning the FA Cup, a blown Champions League spot 2 years in a row is not going to go. That's not going to sit well if you're a Leicester fan. And it's definitely a black mark for Brendan Rodgers, who, has kind of been fighting to have his name as like, hey, I'm as good a manager as some of these other guys. But if you blow 2 Champions League spots like this 2 seasons in a row, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, the 5th place finisher, so whoever finishes 5th goes to the Europa League. So there is no Champions League qualifier here. This is you're either finishing the top 3 and 4 spots and making the Champions League, or you're going to the Europa. And like we've talked about in the past, the money there is drastically different. For the matchups, we have Chelsea is playing against Aston Villa, who is a mid-table team. They're sitting at an 11th spot. Leicester is playing Tottenham, who is in the 6th spot, but they don't have any ground to make up. Let's see, if they win, they're sitting at 62. So best they can do is 65 points. So their best hope, Tottenham, is just maybe Liverpool loses the next 2 and they win and they get a Europa spot. So Tottenham, probably the best team there. Liverpool is facing Crystal Palace on the final match day. So if, let's say, Liverpool handles business tomorrow and we got those 3 teams, Ronnie, who you see finishing in Champions League spots for this one?
If Liverpool takes care of business tomorrow, give me Chelsea and Liverpool to in the Champions League spots. I think Leicester just has really just limping to the finish line, and Tottenham will be a difficult match because Tottenham, potentially playing for a Europa League spot because nobody wants to be in the Europa Conference, which we'll explain later in another show. So I think if Liverpool handles tomorrow, I would take them in Chelsea to get the last spot. But speaking of Tottenham, we have the other big story in the Premier League, which was Harry Kane officially asking out of Tottenham. Now, this will be one of those long, protracted transfer sagas of the summer. It won't solve itself quickly, as most big transfers don't. But Joe, not surprising that he's asking out. He apparently said he only wants to go inside the Premier League, so that does sort of limit your options. And if that is the case, your Man City squad is probably one of the only teams who can really afford him realistically. So
there are probably 3 that can take on his wage bill and front the 100 million plus it's going to cost, which would be City. Both Manchester clubs can do it. I'm not sure if they will. Can find the funds for that. Man City, Man United, and Chelsea obviously has deep pockets as well, so they could do so as well. If I'm City, we kind of touched on this a little bit last week towards the end. I'm still going all in on Erling Haaland. He's 7 to 8 years younger than Harry Kane is. Harry Kane's 28, has had injury issues. So I personally would not want to be handing out the kind of money that it would take to get him, knowing that he is getting up to their age for soccer players. I think he's turned 28. He's not, over the hill by any means, but when you're talking about that kind of money, you generally want to put that out for and you're paying that much for their hopefully their prime, which would be 22 to 27. He's kind of in his prime right now, so you're paying for the tail end of his prime and his aging season. So I personally would prefer not to shell out that kind of cash. If it drops below that, I'd be in on it, but I would like to see my club put forth effort into Erling Haaland. And with Dortmund qualifying for the Champions League, it's not as dire of straits financially for them,
right?
But that they could lose him for significantly less in 2 years. So that those two, since they're kind of the big name strikers on the market, Lewandowski also has put his name in the transfer portal. It seems too that he might be on the move. So there's going to be some big names out there, and will be very interesting to see which domino falls first, because that's going to play a big role on how quickly some of these go. Because if they're all getting dragged out, some of these teams that are going to be in play for those other players might be going for other guys too. So it's tricky. I think United is probably the place where he lands. I know we've talked about that before.
I think it's United. I think it'll be United. Unfortunately, because that just hasn't been City style. City style hasn't been 100 million on one player. As much as Zach, and especially Zach has his fun with you about all the money you spend. City spends very strategically, and dropping 100 hymns on one guy has not been them under this regime. I think it'll be United. I think what will be interesting with United, though, is if it is United, can they shift around guys like Anthony Martial? Does another big name, a bigger name, go to bring in Harry Kane? Because I think especially if it's United, if I'm Tottenham and United asks for Harry, it's 120.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know you have it. So you're not going to be able to cheat.
Nope.
So
definitely not.
I think it'll be interesting. I think Chelsea, Zach's club. I think that would be interesting. But now you're saying Lewandowski is now in the transfer portal. Lewandowski might be a name that surfaces for Chelsea, because someone tells me Harry Kane would not go to another club in London. So I don't think I think he would leave London. That's why I'm thinking it's going to be United or City.
Those would be the two most likely candidates, I think, for sure. And I think United, based on past history, United is the club that typically would be splashing out that sum. City spends a lot of money, no doubt about that, but they don't, like you said, they don't typically spend it on one player. Like
right.
a lot of the other big clubs have splashed out massive amounts of money for one player. So that's just, like you said, that's just not City style. They will spend equal amount of money, but they usually will get 2 or 3 players for that same amount. And they've, like you said, been very strategic, and they've hit on most of their transfers lately too, which has been a big reason as to why they have been able to maintain the level of play that they have over the past couple of years. It looks like Chelsea has made contact with Lewandowski already. This was 13 hours ago, based on some of the clips I'm seeing. Bayern is saying that they're not going to sell him at all, but that's posturing at this point. So there's going to be some names on the market.
Yeah, everyone says that in May.
Yeah.
Everyone says that in May. We're not selling. So we will definitely hear covered the transfers. I think the names are interesting. You talk about Lewandowski, you talk about Kane. Does someone come after Holly early? Mbappe is still one of those things that's kind of floating now for the last couple summers. Even like Ronaldo.
That's a good segue.
So
because we got to talk about Italy too.
So we're not going to get into, it's a good segue. We will get into the other parts of Europe. So there are 2 title races that are going down to the last day of the season. And that's France and that's Spain. France is a 2-horse race. PSG has closed the gap to, I think, a point.
Yep.
On Lille going into the last day. So bottom line is PSG wins and Lille draws or loses. PSG wins the title.
Their goal difference is 50. They have 16 plus 16 in goal differential. So if it ties, like you said, it's PSG for sure.
Lille needs to win to get the title, because PSG, I don't think, will draw.
They're playing Brest, and I've not spent hardly any time scouting Brest of the French league, but they're sitting in the 16th spot,
Right.
just 2 above relegation. So they're
Not good.
On
Yeah.
paper, PSG should handle that one. Lille is playing Angers, who is in the 12th spot, only 3 points above Brest. So neither one of them are playing world beaters of the French league. So these are games that both should win. But
So we always talk about rooting for the story. I am rooting for Lille to win this title for a couple of reasons. First of all, because they've sold like so many players the last 2-3 years and just keep rolling. So they stole Arsenal like $100 million worth of players. Their best midfielder, Samari, is already gone. He's going to Leicester as of like June 1st. So they just keep the train rolling. And then for the second reason, we love drama here. And I said this in Stoppage Time FC. If PSG don't win this title, on top of the Champions League bid, my man Poch might be out of there. This might be a short stay for Poch.
considering we talked about, we mentioned this a little bit, and Zach mentioned it too, is that Tuchel got fired and he lost to on a 1-0 to a Bayern team that was
Tuchel
bananas and won the league.
Won the league and lost to an all-time great Bayern Munich team by a goal in the final.
And that wasn't good enough. So
and I think also if they don't win the league, the Mbappe conversation, the volume ramps up on that. So,
for sure.
So for the story and the drama, which we are all about, Lille win the title, be with it. Now in Spain, is a city-on-city rivalry, which we love here. Atletico and Real Madrid, 1 and 2. Atletico leading by 2 points.
I got it right here. Yep, it's Atletico is on 83 and Real is on 81. So there will not be any ties coming into play here. It'll be either a win. Oh, well, it could be a tie actually. Madrid, if they tie, and if Real wins, we're sitting on 84. Depending on how many Real would win by, could impact goal differential and who wins, because the goal differential is only 3. Atletico is on 41 and Real is on 38. So if Real win by 3+ goals, or win by 3 goals and Atletico ties, we're all tied up on goal differential and tied up on points. And I'm not sure what the next tiebreaker is. It head-to-head for the Liga, but it's...
If it's head-to-head, I think if it is, Real has it. I know Real beat them once this season. Another great title race. And if you know anything, we recommend documentaries and things here to kind of help you get involved. Look up on Copa 90, COPA 90, the Madrid Derby. It's a documentary. It's about 15, 20 minutes long on 2 fan bases. Atletico is one of the more tortured fan bases in world football. Like, they've had a lot of close calls with winning. They've lost titles to Madrid on the last day before. Madrid has beat them in the Champions League final at least once. City rivalry. They're 2 very differently run clubs, different fan bases, different mentality. So this would be big for Atletico. And despite the sort of ugly football that they play, it would be pretty big for them to win.
The Atletico definitely has the easier path. These games are both played on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Atletico plays Valladolid. If I'm pronouncing that right, they're currently in relegation zone. With a win, they might get themselves out, so they still have something to play for. However, they've only won 5 games all season, which is the smallest amount in La Liga. And Real is playing Villarreal, which is in 7th place and has won 2 straight. and have a chance to get into the Europa League group stage with a win, potentially, depending on what happens with the clubs above them. So both of the opponents for the Madrid teams have something to play for. So this is not going to be a situation where they're just going to be unconcerned with the win. Both teams should be competing, but Atletico definitely has the easier path based on standings.
Now, flipping over to Italy, Joe, you want to talk about what's going on in Italy, where Inter has already won the title, but Juventus has had a very poor year. And Joe, you think there could be some rumblings or some things going on with Juventus that bear watching?
Yes, indeed. Right now, Inter and Atalanta have clinched Champions League positions, but AC Milan, Napoli, and Juventus are all still in play for those final two spots, just like in the Premier League. So they was very similar situation where we have three teams vying for two spots in the Champions League, separated by a single point. And as it stands, Juventus needs some help to get into the Champions League spots, because if all three teams win, Juve is sitting in the Europa League, and that would mean Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo would be sitting in a Europa League spot, and he is not accustomed to playing in that particular spot. And Juve has a very, very large wage bill that needs paying. And if you don't have that extra income coming from the Champions League, it's going to be very difficult to pay Cristiano's salary, because he's one of the highest paid players in the world. So that would potentially mean, and he's not done, he's not retiring after this year, which means he still wants to play next year. And I don't see Cristiano wanting to play in the Europa League.
I would tell the people this. There are very few. I'm not a betting man. If Juventus does not make the Champions League, Cristiano Ronaldo will put in a transfer request within the first 2 weeks of June. He is not going to finish his career. Not even finish his career. He's just not going to play in the Europa. Period. Under any circumstances.
Nor should he. Nor the
world's most. You can argue who it is. He and Messi are the two biggest stars in their sport, and two of the biggest stars in sports, period. And there's no way Ronaldo will spend a year of his final years in the second-rate Europe. So if you want to cheer for the story and cheer for, again, the drama, Juventus not making the Champions League would be what you're rooting for.
And AC Milan is playing Atalanta, so they have the toughest competition. Atalanta has already clinched a Champions League spot, though, so they are secure in that. They're not going to drop out of the top four. They could move from second down to fourth if they lose. Not that that's a massive deal, but I don't think Atalanta is going to just roll over. Napoli is playing Verona, who is sitting in 10th, and then Juve is playing Bologna, which is sitting in 11th. So both Napoli and Juve playing mid-table teams with not much to play for, and neither team has won in the past 5 matches. Both of them have 3 draws and 2 losses on their record. So all 3 of these teams, very winnable games.
Yeah, it's it's not been the greatest of seasons as far as dramatics, but we have in every league except for Germany, there's something of the major leagues. There's something to watch.
All 4 of them.
All in the last day of the season.
A lot of money up for grabs too, and that's plays a huge role, like we've talked about on past shows. Money makes the soccer world go round, and you need to be in the Champions League if you want to be competing for big name players, because players want to play in the biggest competition, but you also need the added revenue as well to pay your wage bill and to pay those pretty high transfer fees that are coming through. So there's a lot to play for this weekend.
The difference between third and fourth, or not even third and fourth, if your league has 4 Champions League spots, the difference between 4th and 5th is a massive amount of money across all fronts. So even though, like in England where the title's been decided, Italy where the title's been decided, these matches on Sunday can shape futures of franchises. So definitely I would say, whatever stream you're using, whatever your cable package allows, tune in Saturday and Sunday, because I think we are going to see high drama across Europe.
So Saturday is all about Sunday. It looks like is the day for most clubs.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm looking at this correctly. Looks like Sunday is definitely match day 38 for most teams. So have your clicker ready, whatever streaming service, like you said. I find it so funny though with Juve being like the club that is being pushed down our throats by ESPN. I'm not sure if anybody else sees on Facebook. Every 2 seconds I'm scrolling, I see, come check out Juve on ESPN Plus
always.
And they could miss out on the biggest competition in Europe and they're not even winning their league and got 4 other teams that have done better than they have so far, but they keep pushing that narrative.
They push Juventus heavy. Like maybe it's the Ronaldo factor, I don't know, but they really like to tell you that they're playing. They really want you to watch them. So before we get out of here, we just want to kind of give a little bit of tease. I ain't gonna say a teaser. Next Tuesday is a special edition of Stoppage Time FC.
Yes, sir.
It is blue versus blue. Now I will be there. I'm just there to kind of semi-referee. Just to make sure that it doesn't get too out of control. But next Tuesday, blue versus blue, the Champions League final preview show, starring Joe, Zach, Jamaldo. This is, since you joined the ranks of watching, you're gonna have to be on camera next week. I'm just gonna tell you in advance because this is the biggest match in the world.
I'll be there.
Champions League final is the biggest match in the world. This is the Super Bowl. This is NBA Finals Game 7. This is World Series Game 7, all rolled into one. And we are fortunate enough. We got our wish. We wished this like 3 months ago. We said if we could get Chelsea versus Man City in the Champions League final, how great it would be if we got it. So, Joe, I know you and Zach kind of talk among yourselves. Is there anything, or is this going to be a secret next week? Is the kind of what can't tell people what's going to happen next week?
We talk about how when we talk City, Chelsea, we talk soccer off camera and kind of daily. It's extremely polite, and we kind of both root for the other team's club when we're not playing each other. Even during like the FA Cup semifinal and other matches, there's been friendly banter, playful ribbing pretty much going on. But this match means a lot to both of us. So I have my feelings about how the match is going to go. I've been very polite about Chelsea and their team, and their players and everything like that whenever we've talked about them, because they've been having a really nice run of form with under Tuchel. However, I will be 110% going in for my squad and defending my guys. So he seems to think it's going to get quite aggressive at times. I don't know if it's going to get that bad. However, it's definitely not going to be as cordial as it has been, for sure. Because I have some opinions that he probably isn't going to care for when it comes to his team, and same will go this direction because I know he really dislikes Riyad Mahrez. He's been playing really, 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 really well in the Champions League. So there'll be some playful banter going on, but there will definitely be some more heated exchanges for sure. So it'll definitely be something y'all want to tune in for.
I will say this. Knowing Zach, because I've gotten to know Zach over the last couple months, I will tell you this. I would not expect him to come on camera and be nice.
No.
So if you have to let loose on him, then that's just the way it has to be. Because I imagine, number one, he's not going to be nice. And more importantly, the winner of this match, I expect the next week to be completely unbearable. So you might as well drop. I know, like I said, you all have been kind of friendly and nice to each other up to this point. You might as well drop that next week, because I can almost guarantee you he's not going to be nice to you.
Oh no, there's already been some stuff twirling around in my head that I'm going to be saying. So we're I know he is doing the same thing as well. I'm going to have to get my my singing voice warmed up for that second show though, because City is going to win the match on the 29th.
Absolutely.
And I have maintained that from the jump, that I will perform the Champions League anthem, because I have been so vocal against UEFA live and on camera. So I'm gonna spend some time this weekend, I think, getting my vocal cords warmed up and start getting these words down to a T, so Zach can be on camera and live whilst I'm singing the Champions League song in victory.
I can't wait for it. Like I said, next week I'm just here to semi-officiate.
Ask questions, give your 2 cents, make sure we're, not getting too personal.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. So next week, 9 Eastern, 8 Central as always, Tuesday night. It is all about, we'll review the league winner, the Champions League winner, but next week is really all about the Champions League final. It'll be so Joe, Zach, Germaldo, I see this little yellow. Is that a new feature? You put your hand up?
No, yeah, I put my hand up just so I can say something before we go. Joe?
First of all, should I zoom with that? Okay. What's your question? What you
That's
got
Google
for?
Classroom right there for me.
Yeah. So what I want everybody to understand is Joe will not be the only person singing. It will be a duet. I told y'all that City was going to win when I became a City fan and announced that City would be my team. So I'm here for this. I'm here for the whole thing. So I know that Zach is not going to be nice, because every time that we score, I'm throwing up my F, and I'm throwing up my F, and I'm throwing up my L's, because it's going down next week. Full life. That's what it's, because it's going down, baby.
I think that. Hey, listen, I'm ready for it. So next week we'll wrap up the European League season. We'll wrap it up quickly, and then we just gonna let these two guys and Jern have at it. Champions League final preview, the Blue versus Blue podcast, live. So remember, Stoppage Time FC is the Facebook group. Stoppage Time FC is the Twitter. Scen is the family. Capital SCEN. Facebook fan page, YouTube. Join us next week. It should be it's going to be a live show. It's Ron, Joe, Zach will be back next week. Germaldo behind the camera. This is Stoppage Time FC.